Right now, though, school learners across the country have been very hard at work during the June exams, and with schools closing in a week's time, learners will soon get to enjoy a well-deserved break from the academics. Now, in studio today, we're joined by certified parent coach Laura Markovitz to talk about the importance of school learners relaxing and taking that break from the books during the winter holidays. Laura, thank you very much for joining us. Good to see you again, man.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. So I can't believe it. The year is flying. We're halfway through it now. The second part of year still now lies ahead for the learners, which I think they need to be refreshed for. So very, very important topic. Why, in your opinion, is it so important to kind of decompress at this stage after the exams?
Yeah, I think it's so important, and I'm so glad we're talking about this because we often focus on kind of the before the exam stuff, the during the exam stuff, and it's so important that we look at, well, what happens now? And as you said, we need that time to kind of relieve the pressure. These kids have been in a highly pressured environment and they need some time to take time off, to relax, to get in touch with what they love doing, as I said earlier with the young golfer, and to get into a state where they do feel replenished and are ready to take on the next chapter.
Now, when it comes to relaxing during the school holidays, I can just take myself back and think, after going through an exam run like that, you're tired, you're mentally tired, you're physically tired. So the only thing I was looking forward was kind of like vegging on the couch. Just like, it's here, I can relax. Is that a good thing, or should we try and find other ways to kind of relax?
I laugh because I was chatting about this yesterday with my son and his friend, and he said, "Oh, Laura, please tell them we're allowed to play PlayStation the whole holidays."
Yes.
So I said, sorry. So absolutely, there's a place for vegging out, and we need that. What would be great is if during the school holidays, kids have been able to endure that time in a more balanced way so that they haven't had to completely switch off and focus on the academics absolutely completely, that they've had some other time to wind down, to have a more balanced time so that it isn't kind of going from 100 to zero. And there's actually something called the letdown effect, which often happens we kind of keep it together in highly pressured times during exams or work, adults with work stuff, and then suddenly the pressure's off and we find that people get sick, they get run down.
I battle with that, I must be honest.
Absolutely, and that's quite a common phenomenon. And what's happening is we've got hormones that kind of keep us in check and keep our immune systems in check during the pressured environment, but as soon as we kind of switch off, those kind of let down and our body allows things to come in. So what's quite nice is to think about not the complete and utter vegging out in front of a
Still
TV.
get out, still
but
go do
get
things.
out, do things, get outside, stay stimulated in other ways, read, play with your friends in a creative way, hang out socially, do things that aren't, that you're not just going from 0 to 100 and 100 to 0.
Absolutely, but once again, I think parents need to step in here and say, like, I know you're tired, I know, but let's go do something fun, let's do something that you enjoy. Quick question, I'm always kind of scared to ask it because I'm probably hated by every single student across the country at this stage, but can you use this winter holidays to prepare for the third term? Are we talking about academics, or are we really just talking about a mindset here?
So, absolutely. I mean, I think each child is different. And I always say you've got to look at each child and what their needs are. If you've had a rough time during these June holidays, here is a time where there isn't a lot of pressure, you're on holiday. If you take a little bit of time to kind of revise and do the things that you are finding difficult, not in a pressured environment now, that can obviously be very helpful. However, it is equally important, and in some ways more important, that they do have time to switch off as well, and that they're not spending their holidays absolutely sitting at the books and having no downtime at all, because that's absolutely counterproductive, leads to burnout, adds to anxiety, and isn't going to be putting them in a good position to take the next chapter forward.
So you really want to prepare yourself physically, mentally by doing things that you enjoy other than schoolwork, something else. Take a break.
Absolutely.
That's what don't veg though. Don't veg though. Laura, thank you very much. She is going to be back a little bit later on as we will continuing with this subject, this very important subject of rest during the holidays.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
All right, now earlier we spoke about the importance of school learners to take a bit of a break and relax after the June exams. Now we're continuing that conversation with our certified parent coach this morning, Laura Markovitz. We've been having a lovely chat. Petaflops, it came up again.
Definitely using it in a sentence.
Gotta use it. Listen, so we spoke about the importance of rest earlier on. It's holiday season, it's time to kind of switch off all of those learners. Now, what if a particular learner is not very happy with their marks for the exams or the way it went? How do you approach it during the holidays? Because I've had that, and you kind of mull over it the entire kind of off period.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, if you've done well, great, and it's all fantastic.
Yeah.
But what's really nice about being at this point in the year is it gives you an opportunity to actually reassess and recalibrate a bit and think, well, what did work during the exam period? What didn't go so well? So was it because I wasn't understanding the work? Was it that I wasn't studying properly? Was it that my study methods weren't great? Was it that I was actually putting too much pressure on myself, or my parents were putting too much pressure on me during that time? So it's very helpful to think through what went well and what went badly. And I think as parents, to encourage our kids to really take the time to think about it, be thoughtful, be conscious about it, rather than coming down on them like a ton of bricks and not being there in terms of an emotional support. So rather working in a collaborative way with our kids to think through how we can support them and how they can work better in the next term. I don't encourage parents to go, well, you didn't do well, I want you to take the entire holiday period and sit down and be studying every single day.
Kill me.
Because, again, as I said earlier, that's going to be counterproductive. And kids need time to switch off and rejuvenate.
Discuss it over a friendly game of putt-putt. Talk about it.
Putt-putt and petaflops.
And petaflops. When it comes to revision, I know a lot of schools obviously put that, have a kind of a project that they do during the holidays, a bit of revision of the work, making sure that they're comfortable with the material as well. How much of that is okay if you take a look at a school holiday that we're approaching right now to make sure that you still get that rest, because that is what we're focusing on.
Yeah, so again, and schools work differently. Some schools will say, guys, you've worked hard, take the time to relax. Some do give them work during the holidays. And I think, it's something that is that elusive balance thing. It's trying not to go, you need to spend 5 hours on your work thing. I think it's rather to think about what are the requirements of school, because if they are there and they have to be doing something during the holidays, to then think about how you're going to approach it and when you're going to do it, as opposed to getting to the end of the holidays, panicking and going, I haven't done it, I need to start doing everything. So rather be thoughtful about it, decide how you're going to be approaching things during the holidays, if you need to be doing some work, so that your day doesn't have that awful, hovering, lurking feeling that you can't actually enjoy the time that you should be relaxing and having a bit of fun.
Exactly, because that's it's so important, and it might seem such a simple and silly subject to talk about, but rest during holidays, it just doesn't happen, I guess. Back in my day when I was at school, I did nothing. It was great. I was out on the farm. We would do anything but schoolwork.
Fantastic,
And that was a great switch off. Laura, thank you very much for the advice. Any last words of advice that you can share with our viewers?
Well, I think it's just important to think as parents how we can support our children to feel refreshed and rejuvenated during the school holidays, so that they feel ready to take on the next chapter.
Yeah, perfect. Laura, thank you very, very much.
Thanks.
For what it's worth, enjoy your school holiday.
Thank you, I'll take that.
And to all the learners, well done for making it to this point of the year. But go out there, implement some of these tips and tricks of Laura, and make sure that you just switch off the school holidays.